Well, he had his friends he wanted to do stuff with.
Oh man, somebody left.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we're just to go to the normal ways.
Well, another one of the women in the family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you.
Hi. We're done traveling for the moment, and then next week we're traveling again. We graduated Tyler, our youngest. Graduated. Yeah, computer engineering Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so this is my Tyler. Graduated, got his engineering certification now, so he's on a coordinator contract. Yes, we were nursing, and we had to fly. I had to fly into the and we drove. So there's that. This is Kayla, which is Peter's. Ben and Brian and Shauna Peter's daughter. Brian is anyway, yeah. So this is Kayla. This is Ben. Ben and Tyler Shauna makes the first one here. Ben. So that's how they met. Yes, yes. So okay. Where? Yes. So you pass it on the way. Oh, you go differently now?
I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Rio Grande Valley Bridge.
Oh, fun. Yes, try about that. It's a 4-hour drive from, well, from Woodland Park. Is it 4 hours? Yeah, it's oh no, oh yeah. It was just a tad to be on so many weeks. Yeah, it'd be better to do it now. Since we get really busy this summer. Busy with all the artists.
Taking off for part two. Even offer people have any questions for the end of these 5 minutes for that. Perfect. Thanks, Mike.
Good morning, everyone. Please come on in and have a seat. We're getting ready to get started here. And I just wanted to make an introduction of our guest speaker this morning, both for our Bible class hour and for the sermon period this morning. A lot of you know Walter Williams from Mountain States Children's Home. He's been with us before, and he's graciously agreed to come and give us an update on the work at Mountain States Children's Home this morning. So, Walter, take it away.
Good morning, church. Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, good. Well, I'm very pleased to be here. This is one of my favorite drives, coming down the Front Range and looking at Pikes Peak just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this morning I was telling one of the brothers that, the peak was right above all the clouds. And that's just one of my favorite things. You really, the sermon, part of the topic this morning is, what makes you think about God? And that's one of those things that makes me think about God. It's just the magnificent beauty that He's created and that we are blessed to be able to live near. So thrilled to be here today. How many people here in this room have visited Mountain States Children's Home's campus? Okay, we have a few of you. Well, I want to start off by inviting you. Take a Saturday, take a weekday, just decide to come up and I'll give you a personal tour of our campus. It's a really beautiful place. We are located just north of Denver, so it's right at about 2 hours drive depending on Denver traffic. It can really stretch out from there. But we're just north of Longmont. We're about 2.5 miles north of Longmont. And you can see there's Longs and Meekers Peak. That's the view that the kiddos get to wake up and see across the street every day. So it's a very beautiful place. And Mountain View, the name of this church, is a great metaphor for what we get to see, because the Mountain View, you just get to see the glory of God all around. And for the kids that come in from inner cities, or we place about 60 kids, about 60% of children come from Colorado, but the other 40% come from other states. I mean, we've had kids from Georgia, Florida. We had a boy from Brooklyn, New York one time. And boy, he came out and just could not believe the majestic beauty that surrounds us here in Colorado. But we have been a Christ-centered residential child care program, therapeutic residential child care program for the last 65 years. We were founded in 1960. And this farmland up here, the only thing that was there was that farmhouse. I think I'm doing this wrong. There it is. Okay, there's the farmhouse right there. That was the first building that was on a 155-acre farm. And there were 5 men who were the elders at the West Cedar Church of Christ. Some in this room may remember that congregation. It's no longer around, but they decided we needed a residential child care program or a children's home here in the state of Colorado, because they were sending kids to Texas and Oklahoma and other children's homes. So we needed something here in our local region. So Elmer Richards and 4 other men took second mortgages on their homes and sold some bonds to pay cash for this 155-acre farm back in 1960. And when you come out to visit, you'll notice you come up to a big, tall hill, and we're right on top of that hill. So we are literally a shining city on a hill where we're located. And this is where children come to heal. We currently have 6 cottages with 24 beds, so we can care for up to 24 children at a time. And those cottages are located along 287. Here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 5, and then we've also built number 6 right here. And our plans for the next 10 years are to build number 7 and number 8 around that circle, which will take our full capacity up to 36 beds, or able to care for 36 children at a time. That green building kind of in the center is our school, and then that white building on top of it is our little storage area. We keep our food there and our milk and deep freezes. And then our administration building's next to it. And then all on the right side is our farm area and equipment. We grow all that alfalfa. That's that pivot round system in the back. And over the years, we've had horses and we've had pigs and cattle, but the only animals we have right now are chickens. So we're also Mountain State's Chickens Home. So, but it's a lot of fun. You know, I was speaking with one of the sisters here this morning about how farmland is really good for children because it teaches them about life and just how important it is where food comes from and that sort of thing. So these children get a whole plethora of knowledge when they come out to Mountain State's Children's Home. We have a new, well, he's not so much new anymore, but our executive director is Nick Mears. He is the son-in-law of our previous executive director, Randy Scow, who was with us since the early 90s. But anyway, Nick has a few words he'd like to say this morning to us.
We all want our kids to be healthy and confident. We want them to thrive. But sometimes, life doesn't go as planned. Bad things happen. Kids act out, they struggle, and they suffer. When these problems persist for years on end, it can bring a family to their knees. The chaos becomes crippling. We bring hope. Here, children are placed in loving homes in a family model of care. House parents provide structure, consistency, security, and comfort. Our on-ground school helps kids catch up academically and learn effective organizational skills and study habits. Kids meet weekly with on-site professional counselors to work through emotional and behavioral issues. We provide opportunities for spiritual growth through in-home devotionals, weekly worship services, and youth group activities. Through God's love, we support the whole child. Relationships are repaired, confidence is renewed, hope is restored.
So that's us in a nutshell. Nick did a great job on there. He doesn't like to be in front of the camera, but he did great. So we, as I mentioned before, we're a therapeutic residential child care program. We're not a treatment center. So you'll notice in our homes, there's no bars on the windows. There's no, cold, pictureless walls. It's not that kind of a place. It's a family model of care. Our homes are Christian homes. The 6 homes are staffed with Christian house parents. This is a Christian mother and father. It's a husband and wife team that live in that cottage. So that is their home. We keep them on a 3-week on, 1-week off schedule. So dealing with at-risk children 24 hours a day, 7 days a week can put an adult in the fetal position in the corner, trust me. But these people are very well loved. We take great care of them. On their week off, they have 2 options. They can stay in their cottage in their own personal quarters, and the kiddos will pack up and move into Shelly's cottage for that week. And during that week, we don't call them, we don't ask them for anything, that's their time. If they want to leave, if they want to go off and stay with a relative or travel, then the kids will stay where they are, and Miss Shelley, our relief house mom, will move into that cottage for that week. but it's a family model of care. There's love in these homes. A lot of the kids have never had a father figure or a mom. A lot of single-parent families bring their kids to us. But we will, there's a lot of things that set us apart. Number one, we don't take government or state funding. We never will, because we don't want the state telling us how to run our programs. We will pray, we will go to church, and we're not going to let Boulder County tell us we can do otherwise. We'll also place any child regardless of an ability to pay for services. As far as I know, we're the only residential child care program in the state of Colorado that will do that. A lot of the state-run facilities require payment to place a child. One of the things that sets us apart also is we provide a much higher rock bottom for kids. A lot of kids come from good families, good Christian homes for that matter. And when they come to us, they're making bad choices. They're, doing things they shouldn't be doing at their age. And I like to say we're an alternative to sending a kid off to military school. You can actually send a child to Mountain States Children's Home, learn Christian values, learn what it's like to be loved and forgiven and have hope. And that's one thing that really sets us apart. We catch the child before they make decisions that's going to ruin their lives. We catch them up here so they can spring-load into their bright, happy future. So we're very preventable. Our underlying goal is to reunite the children with their families whenever that's possible. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the family unit is what's toxic, and the child has to suffer through abuse or neglect or some other form of trauma. So for those kids, they're welcome to stay as long as they want. They can stay through their 18th birthday, and we have something after their 18th birthday, which I'll get to here in a little bit, which is another new program. Our annual budget for this year is $2.42 million. 80% of that comes from individuals like you, people that send us monthly checks. About 10% come from church budgets because we are a mission. We are a ministry in a mission field. Boulder County is a mission field. And the other 10% comes from grant writing, which is my least favorite thing to do, and our events. We have 4 events throughout the year: a sporting clay tournament, a dinner, a volunteer work day, and a Topgolf tournament, which we just had our second of that this year. So we are privately funded. We're always going to stay that way. And we're far more comprehensive than just standalone foster care or just standalone counseling. We do it all, and that's that deeper level of care that I mentioned before. A little bit about our children. As I mentioned, they come from all over the country. 60% or so come from Colorado, but they're all wounded. And when I say wounded, that means they've experienced some sort of ACE, or adverse childhood experience. Those can range from, you describe it, A to Z. If a child's been wounded, they can possibly act out. If a child's grown up in poverty, they've gotten used to people making fun of them because they wear the same pair of shoes to school every day, or the same pair of jeans every day, or having to borrow their sister's clothes because there's nothing else to wear that day. Those kinds of things are real, and poverty can really yield to a lot of childhood trauma. According to the, I forget what it was, the Children's Miracle something, the statistic is that a child is born into poverty in the United States every 30 seconds, which seems insane, but those are the statistics. When the kids come out, the first thing they get is food. They get to eat. They don't have to store Twinkies in the bathroom because they think that's the last Twinkie they're going to have for the week. They get to eat all they want. And that's part of the growing in stature part that we'll get to. That's part of the deeper level of care. And as you can see here, some of the ladies at church put together a tea party for the girls. So they all got to dress up and get all fancy and have tea. But they get to experience things that they've never been able to experience before. Another thing that we get to see a lot of is homelessness. There are a ton of homeless children in Boulder County. And what defines a homeless child is a child that is lacking a fixed place to lay their head at night. They're either staying with friends, they're bouncing around from house to house. We actually had one of my daughter's friends stay with us in the basement. She was there for 2 years during her junior and senior year because she didn't have a stable, safe environment. So we let her stay with us. And we did our best to minister to her, but that was a homeless child, so it touched our family personally. There's also, kids that are forced to share housing with relatives. We get a lot of single moms that are fleeing domestic violence. it is so rampant. And so there's one day a mom says, you know, I've had enough. Come on, kids, let's go stay with Aunt Judy. So they stay with Aunt Judy until their welcome is worn out, and then they have to move on and go to Uncle Sam's, and then they have to just keep moving around. That's a homeless family, so we get to see a lot of that. As I mentioned before, a lot of kids are coming from good homes, but they're just making boneheaded decisions. I know my mom threatened to send me to a children's home quite a few times when I was growing up. And nothing just bad, but I mean, she fed me Winchell's donuts and expected me to sit still at church that morning. It's tough to do sometimes. You got to talk, you got to communicate, but those kinds of behaviors are some. But you know, a lot of kids, they start making bad choices, start running with the wrong crowd, start acting out, revolting against their parents, disrespect, talk back, attitude, those kinds of things. And for a lot of parents, that's in their wheelhouse. They can work through it. But for other parents, that is just desperate behavior. The parents don't know what to do with their children. We had a mom pull into our facility and ask us these very words, "Can you save my daughter?" Because she's acting out, she's doing things that I don't know how to parent her anymore. So we get a lot of kids like that. We're an alternative to juvenile detention. We have a board member who is a judge in Boulder County, and she works with families. So she gets families come across her courtroom quite often that has a child that's on their way to juvie. They're going to jail. And for some kids, she will pull that family aside and say, hey, look, we have an alternative to juvenile detention. There's Mountain States Children's Home. So we'll have that discussion, and if the child's within our level of care and won't be a threat to other children, we can place that child and give them an alternative to going to jail, which is pretty cool. But a lot of kids have been abused and neglected. There were 3.6 million cases of child abuse reported this last year. That's just the cases that were reported. I'm sure there's others, but that's a lot. A child who's abused is 11 times more likely to engage in criminal behavior, violence, or to be abusers themselves when they grow up. About 80% of adults that were abused as children experience 5 or more areas of therapeutic concern. They're stressed, depressed, thinking about suicide, alcoholic, and that's just 4. But that's what happens to kids when they're abused and we don't stop it in its tracks. So our program is preventable. We want to stop these cycles in their tracks so they don't repeat themselves as adults. If you don't stop them when they're young, they're going to manifest into other behaviors that are going to be negative, and they're going to become a drain on the system somewhere down the road. We want these children to be happy, well-adjusted, productive citizens that contribute to our community rather than drain it. So that's another way that we help these kids. But every child that comes in has experienced some form of trauma or adverse childhood experience. As I mentioned before, our goal is to reunite the children with their families whenever it's possible. The average stay for children when they come to us is 18 months. That's about enough time for us to really go through the phases that these children have to go through. Because when they first come out here, depending on their circumstance, some kids are like, hey, this is great. You know, this is I'm just amazed. I can't believe I'm here. This is great. We got mountains. We're doing fun stuff, going on hikes. I live in a home. There's plenty of food. You know, I'm loved. And then there's other kids that when they come, they're like, what in the world are you? Why are you putting me in this institution? This is awful. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm having to live in a home with people I don't know. But after 18 months, we notice a drastic change in children's behavior. I'll get to the numbers on that, but it's pretty profound how successful we are. But most of the time, after just a couple of weeks, after children get adjusted, they find out that Mountain States Children's Home is an amazing place to be. So how are we so effective? I mentioned this before, a deeper level of care. We did a capital campaign a few years ago, and we're talking to our consultant. He's like, what do you do? And we're like, well, we do this and this and that. No, what do you provide? Well, this and that. No, what do you provide? And he really dug into us for a while, and we finally came up with, we provide a deeper level of care. And that's precisely what we find in Luke 2:52. We want to say this about every child that comes through our doors, that they grow in wisdom and stature in favor with God and man. So those are the 4, I guess you could call them pillars of our program. So the first one would be school. Wisdom comes in many forms, shapes, and sizes, but one of the ways that children are measured in this society is their academic performance. I failed the 4th grade. It wasn't because I wasn't smart, it was just because I was distracted and I wasn't used to having homework and this and that, but I wasn't ready to move on to 5th grade. So when kids come to us, they are several levels behind their peers. Most of them are, 4, 5, 6 grade levels back. So we do academic assessments. Abby is our director of education, and she'd like to say a few things about our school.
Here at Mountain States Children's Home, we address the needs of children with social, emotional, and behavioral struggles in a long-term residential care setting. In order to meet the needs of the whole child, our program incorporates an on-site school which addresses their academic needs in a professional, therapeutic environment. Because of disruptive behavior, attention deficits, strained home environments, and poor attendance, the majority of our kids have struggled in school and are behind academically. Our teachers consistently communicate with counselors and house parents to create a unified approach to the child's care. They are an integral part of the therapeutic team. Individualized learning in a small class setting enables our students to achieve an average of 3 to 4 years of annual academic growth on pre- and post-assessments. Through structure, routine, and patient repetition, students learn how to learn. High expectations challenge students to stretch outside their comfort zones. Over time, they learn to take pride in their education, and their confidence soars. We believe in them even when they don't believe in themselves. We know each child has value and worth, and by the time they leave our program, they believe it too.
Yeah, believing in yourself as a child is a very important thing. If you're not confident, it's hard to, go into situations that challenge you. Part of our program is, the wisdom is the school, and we work with these kids when they first come in. We do an academic assessment to try to determine where they are academically. What grade are they testing in? And as I mentioned before, 4, 5, 6 grade levels is not uncommon. So we design a specific curriculum for each individual child at our beautiful school building. It used to be in the basement of one of our homes, and it was not a pretty sight watching the kids go down in the basement to learn. It was kind of creepy. But we were able to build this beautiful school building. It consists of a big wide open floor plan. This is the main entrance. That door on the right is the front door. So you walk in and it just opens up. It's almost about this auditorium size. But the classroom, little desks are there. There's homeroom. We always start with a Bible study in the morning, a little devotional. And we tend to gear the material in the fall in the Old Testament. And then in the spring, we do the New Testament. So the resurrection and Easter kind of come along the same time. And it gives the children a good understanding of the Bible. And then there's the not so fun stuff, the math and the science. And I guess it's fun for some people. But a lot of kids don't like school when they come to us. But in this type of an environment, we meet them where they are. It's not uncommon to have a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old in the same reading class or the same math class, because we want to meet them where they are. We don't want them to feel like they're not smart, that they're not capable to perform well academically. But when they come in, they're way behind, and they get caught up an average of 4 grade levels of academic achievement per year. And that's due to a lot of reasons. Number one, the small class sizes. They all start together, but then they break off into their little groups. We have 2 full-time teachers and 3 part-time teachers. And then we have Tom, the tutor. He teaches our STEM curriculum. But I went in for a tour the other day with a couple, and we're walking through the class, through the school. And there's 2 kids over here learning about slope. I saw the y equals mx plus b. I don't know how I remember that. But it's easier to learn algebra when there's just 2 of you and a teacher. And not to mention, you have a nice brand new pair of shoes on. Your tummy's nice and full. You don't have to worry if you're going to get hurt when you get home after school. All of these things contribute to a child's very fun academic experience. So they get caught up very quickly. Once they get caught up to their grade level, we'll do another assessment, and then we'll transition them to the Twin Peaks Charter Academy, which is accredited, thank you, accredited school in Longmont, so that if they do stay through their 18th birthday, they can graduate from Twin Peaks. We're not an accredited school. We're a therapeutic learning environment that helps children catch up academically. And it's fascinating to see these kids get their confidence back. Healthy mind, healthy body. We have a beautiful gym. That basketball goal, there's another one on the other end. Well, you can see them both, actually. Were donated by the Denver Nuggets. That was their old practice goals. And we like to tell the kids, hey, Shaq dunked on that. And the kids are like, who is Shaq? But it's good equipment. You know, we give these kids every opportunity to be spectacular. We do also a CrossFit exercises. Brian Thomas is the founder of OtterBox. He lives up in Fort Collins. He and his wife, Michelle, love our programs. They're very good donors, and they contributed a whole bunch of CrossFit equipment. Michelle would come and teach CrossFit, and then Dustin, our lead counselor, got in his mind, let's start a therapeutic fitness program. And so he became a CrossFit One coach. Michelle kind of stepped back, and Dustin runs this program twice a week where we set goals. We have a word of the month. I think the word of the month this month is grit. When you're faced with an obstacle, have a little grit. Know that you can push through, fight through it, and it's surprising how many kids are like, I didn't think I could ever do this, but look at me now. And it's part of that transitional learning that these kids get when they come to Mountain States Children's, and the transformation that these children get. One example is a couple of summers ago, we set a goal to have a 50-mile bike ride along the Front Range. And that was a lofty goal. So we're all excited, we're getting ready to go, we all get on our bikes and we start riding. Well, we didn't make about a quarter mile and some kid's chain fell off. Fix a chain and then, okay, let's get it going again. Then we had a flat tire. And then somebody's seat fell off. It's like, okay. So we kind of went back to campus all battered and bruised with our heads hung low. And I talked to Dustin, it's like, we need bikes, don't we? And so I went to Shields and I talked to Mark Knudsen, he's the store director up in Johnstown, and had him up for a tour, and he was almost in tears. He's like, I can't believe you guys are doing so much under one roof. I'm like, believe it, brother, we're doing it. And he's like, what do you need? And so he donated 10 Trek road dirt hybrid bikes and helmets to us. So whenever we do therapeutic fitness on riding, we bring these bikes out so we can actually achieve some distance. And every child that participated that summer made the 50-mile mark, so we're thrilled. It just shows what you can do when you're nice and full, you're confident, you're safe, and people love you and encourage you, and you can fight through your shortcomings or what you think are your shortcomings. So that's the wisdom part. Jesus grew in wisdom and stature. So our stature are the homes. This is the health of the child, the physical health of the child. You'd be surprised how many kids don't know proper nutrition. They think, hamburger helper or macaroni and cheese is like good eating. I used to think a Whopper was a square meal. You get your meat, your vegetables, your bread, But you can't eat Whoppers every day and be healthy. So we teach children proper nutrition. We teach children proper hygiene. A lot of kids don't know how to take care of their bodies. And, going through adolescence, there's a lot to learn in that. And when you don't have parents teaching you, you don't learn stuff. So the house parents, house moms and dads help the boys and girls be their best physical self. So that happens in these cottages. These are our 4 older homes, and this is a picture of our newest home, number 6. This is a little bit older. We have some nicer landscaping, and this is when it was being built. But this is the current relief cottage. This is where Clay and Katie Russell live. But our cottages are they're loving homes. They're beautiful homes. They're big, wide open floor plans. The old ones aren't. They're not really conducive to Boulder County requirements, so we've had to change our building requirements and their specs going forward. So this is number 6. Number 5 is just like this, but we're going to build number 6 and number 7 soon. And what's really cool about these homes is every child gets their own bedroom. And I mean, these bedrooms are nicer than most college dorms, but they have their own bedroom, their own space, and they also have their own bathroom. So especially for girls, they have their own space. Get off my hairdryer. We don't have to deal with that. They have their own space. But it yields to the learning environment, how to take care of your room, how to keep it clean, and how to scrub a sink, how to unplug a toilet. Those kinds of things are important life skills that children get when they're at Mountain States Children's Home. But the most important thing is just the ownership and the love that happens in a Christian home. I was very blessed to grow up in a Christian home, but a lot of kids aren't. A lot of kids are growing up homeless or in poverty, and they don't get this type of home life. So our immediate goal for our cottages is to obviously expand. We're going from 24 to 36 beds. Home Aid is an organization in Colorado that consists of tradespeople, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, those kinds of people. They get together and they partner with Lennar Homes, and they choose an organization to build a home for every year. They came to us and they built number 5 for us. And during the process, they were like, man, this is an amazing organization. Let's build another house for you. We're like, okay. So this was started building right in the very end of 2019, very beginning of 2020. So cottage number 6 took a lot longer for obvious reasons, but we were able to build it up, get most of it donated. If we put a price tag on this home, it would have cost $1.4 million to build, because there's 9 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, big sprawling ranch house. The home was out about $250,000 at the end of the day. So it was basically donated. Through this process, we've worked with Kodiak Building Partners and some other organizations, Lennar Homes and Home Aid, and they love us so much they want to build us 2 more. So with our capital campaign funding, along with their donations, we're going to be able to do both of them in the next year to 2 years. So we're going to be pretty full over the next 2 years. So we're expanding and we're growing, which is super exciting. But we're blessed. We're very, very blessed. So in my opinion, the most meaningful part of our program is Favor with God. We teach children about God. A lot of kids have never been to church. They don't know what it's like to feel forgiveness or hope, or most importantly, love. So these concepts are learned very quickly, number one, in the home, because it's a Christian home. There's verses on the walls, there's encouragement, and there's love. But we also attend the Longmont Church of Christ. And the elders there are fantastic. The ladies group, they do tea parties, they do fun stuff for the kids. We have funding so that every child in Children's Home can participate in youth group activities. We do all kinds of fun stuff. We baptize kids, and that's the best part. We have 4 new Christians this year, and there's nothing more special to see a child come in from a broken home, spend some time at the Children's Home, and then decide they want to be baptized. It's just amazing. But we hope every child that comes through our doors becomes a Christian while they're here. It doesn't always happen that way, but it happens most of the time. And that is super exciting. But the best part is seeing children learn what it feels like to be forgiven or to have hope and love. So that's our good stuff right there. One thing I do want to mention, the Lads to Leaders that was held in, it was here, Colorado Springs a few years ago. Our kids won the Bible Bowl, which is pretty amazing, because these kids, they learn the Bible. They're excited to learn about it because it's new, and they get to live it. And a lot of kids, when they leave, they bring Christ into their homes, whatever that might look like. We actually had a child get dismissed a couple years ago who went back home, and his family started coming to the Longmont Church, which is exciting. And that's the kind of stuff that happens on a daily basis. Children are transformed by the power of God. And then finally, Favor with Man. This is the part where, this is our therapeutic program. Kids come in broken. For a lot of these kids, it's a lot more than just a warm meal or a new pair of shoes. These kids are really traumatized. They've gone through adverse childhood experiences, and they don't know how to think right. They have confused thoughts. Some are thinking about suicide, or some are depressed. They have a lot of problems when they come in. So we, a long time ago, decided we need a therapeutic program to help these children heal. So we offer Christian-based counseling for every child in our program. And what that does, it helps us identify and treat, for lack of a better word, their ACEs, their adverse childhood experiences. Help them reprocess their experiences that they've gone through. We use a Glasserian reality therapy. It's choice therapy. So we teach children how to make better choices based on their feelings and what they've gone through. So it's a very effective form of therapeutic concern. So when kids come in, we give what's called the MAS. It's the Multidimensional Adolescent Assessment Scale. And that's a survey that helps us identify what ACEs we're dealing with. So as you can see at the time of placement, that green area represents 40% of the kids. So almost half the kids at the time of placement have between 10 or 16 ACEs that they're dealing with. Areas of therapeutic concern. Depression is one, stress is another. Okay, just to give you an example, 10 to 16 areas at the time of placement. 45%, the red area, is 5 to 9 areas of therapeutic concern. So these children they're really struggling. After 1 year, we do the MAS again, multidimensional scale, and that blue represents 75% of the kids, and they only have between 0 and 4 areas of therapeutic concern. And that's just after 1 year of being at the children's home. So that's how quickly kids recover. That's how quickly they learn how to be their best selves. And that's our success rate. It's pretty much 100% when you break it down. You look at other organizations or state-run facilities, they can't boast a success rate like this because they're just either giving them a food or, giving them therapy, giving them a place to live, which are all good things. But we do it all. And that's why we're so successful. And you put God into that equation, we can't fail. So that's our programs as a whole. I mentioned before, for kids that come to us, our goal is to reunite them with their families. That's great when there's a good family. But a lot of kids don't have a good family. It's a toxic environment. There's addiction, there's abuse, there's neglect, all of those things. So sometimes, since we're a temporary custodian, the parent or guardian can come pull the child out whenever they want. That's their right. It's their child. We don't like it, but there's nothing we can do about it. But for other kids, there are no family unit. They could care less about that child, and that child's doing great. So we'll keep that child through their 18th birthday. For so many years, when the child turned 18, we had to say, you know what? You're an adult. Good luck. And I remember when I was 18, I don't think I was quite ready to make good choices either. I think I was in my 40s, maybe, something like that. But just because you're 18 doesn't mean you're ready to be an adult. So we developed the Transitional Living Program. And this is a building that we were able to purchase in downtown Berthoud, Colorado, just north of the children's home. We were looking at a property that was 2 doors down from our farm, and it just never worked out. We were almost came to a deal, and then something would fall through, and we just couldn't make it happen. So Dustin, our counselor, was actually jogging through downtown Berthoud, and he saw a for sale sign in front of this building. It's getting more and more beautiful. We're doing some landscaping here this spring, and with paint, and we got a new roof on it since this picture was taken. So it's a good, solid structure, but we're building onto it. But the important thing is that God has his eye on our program. We saw that for sale sign. We inquired about it. We found out that the owner is a member of the Church of Christ, Lyle, and he said to us, I have refused 2 cash offers over my asking price because I just wasn't quite ready to sell. Something was telling me I just can't sell it yet. Until we came along and offered him. He says, this is what I've been waiting for. So that's how it happened. So we have this building here. This is for kids. They turn 18 and they want to go to college. We'll pay for it. They want to go to trade school. We'll pay for it. We'll feed them. They continue their counseling. They continue a life skills program, life coaching. And that little blue car is Jaden's car. She was our first resident there. She came to us from an adopted family, making bad choices, chip on her shoulder, not much fun to be around. We didn't think she was going to graduate high school. She ended up graduating high school, entered the Transitional Living Program, attended the Front Range Community College for a couple of years, transitioned into Grand Canyon University's online program, was able to graduate with a degree in psychology, and she's now in her first year of her master's program. She wants to get a master's in psychology and eventually a PhD in forensic psychology. So this kid turned her life around, and it was because of this program here. If she would have turned 18 and just went off, who knows if she would have gone to school or what she'd be doing now. So we're able to work with kids beyond the age of 18 now, which is super exciting because I don't know of any other organization that's focused on this demographic. 18 to 24 is kind of a lost area. You're an adult, you can't have these resources, but you're not so much of an adult that you can do the other resources. So it's kind of a void. So we're answering that call. But our goal is to help them get their lives together, continue going to church, continued counseling, and we want them to finish school with little or no student debt. If they want to just work in the area, work at Pizza Hut or Hayes Market, they can live here and work in the area, start saving their money, get some money saved up, and then we'll start charging them a third of whatever they're making, whatever that number is, to teach them about paying rent or paying a mortgage. That's a life skill that none of us really love to do, but it's reality. We have to learn how to budget our money. So it's a really neat program. So as we close, how do children and families find us? We're in the community a lot. This is our ribbon cutting for number 6. There's 3 chambers represented there. We did a big ribbon cutting, and I'm out in the community a lot doing chamber stuff and speaking to churches and civic groups and organizations and clubs, and trying to get the word out. We have our website, msch.org, where people can find us. We come up on lowcostschools.org. We come up. That's how a lot of people find us from all over the country. They're like, wow, I can go here and get all of this and not have to pay for it. Yeah, it's available. And so there's lots of ways people can find us. We do lots of fun activities. We have the community that supports us. Of course, there's the Tea Party down. We went to the Harlem Globetrotters on the top left there. Kids got to shake the hands of the big basketball players. And we had the Left Hand Artists Guild come and do a painting project. And see Lainey's little picture down there. That's a pretty good painting. But it's a step-by-step painting, so kids learn what it's like for people to care about them. We also went ice skating one time in Longmont, and that's Abby on the right. She's laying down because she's just the coolest kid in school right there, because it was her first time ice skating. And we get on the ice, and she just took off. She's doing these little figure eights and these little twirls. We're like, you're lying. You've been ice skating before, but it was her first time. She says, I had no idea I was so good at ice skating. So she discovered that she's a good ice skater. So there's another transformation that came about just because somebody sponsored the kids to go ice skating. So those kinds of things happen on a daily basis out at the children's home. We have youth groups come out throughout the summer. There's always a group in the summer. We have a big group from MacArthur Park Church of Christ from San Antonio, Texas, coming this summer, which there's going to be about 60 kids here. But kids get to form lifelong friendships, new relationships. But most importantly, these people that don't know them from Adam are coming to spend time and to love on them and help them feel as normal as they possibly can. So these kids get a lot of love from a lot of people. We were founded in 1960, and we better not ever take out that merry-go-round toy, because that's the most popular toy on campus. None of this plastic stuff that's safe. We also need a big slide, one of those 30 feet highs with no edges. If anybody has one to donate, we'll take it. Just kidding. We have groups come out. Christian Motorcycle Association comes out. Don't tell Boulder County that we let the kids ride on the back of the motorcycles, but they love it. It's fun. And then, of course, the Coloradans come out every year. They bring all their hot rods, and the kids can vote on their favorite hot rod. And a few years ago, Amanda voted on this old Studebaker that was on a trailer. It wasn't even running. And we're like, Amanda, why did you vote for that to be the winner? She says, well, it reminds me of me. I'm a work in progress. And it's like, that's good stuff. So we have a lot of fun with the Coloradans every year. They raised about $15,000 last year for us. We got to replace a road through a grant. We had enough funding. We're almost done. Had funding to make it almost to the end of campus, but we had this much more road to go. And the contractor came out, learned about what we did, and said, I'm just going to donate the rest, because what we're doing is pretty cool. So now there's our brand new road, Fraser Road. So lots of ways to help. Easiest thing to do is just go to our website. You can make online donations there. You can volunteer. We have a lot of planned charitable gift estate giving. I'm getting a little more versed in that, so I welcome any conversations or questions about that. But if you don't want to pay taxes and you'd rather make a donation to the children's home, I can make that happen for you. We also have a thrift store in Longmont. It's a lot of fun. But go to our website, give me a call, go to King Soopers Rewards, buy your groceries, and we get a portion of that. Lots of ways to help. We have our sporting clay tournament coming up in July. And then our annual benefit dinner and auction is coming up in October. That's up in Loveland. And there's just so many ways to be connected, whether it's through donations or volunteering or most importantly, just prayer. We appreciate any help we can get. So that's us in a nutshell. If you have any further questions, would like to come out, schedule a tour, just let me know. I love giving tours. It's always fun. You get to meet the kids and see where they live, see their rooms, and they love showing it off. So I appreciate your time and your support throughout the years. And I'll be available all day today for any questions you may have. So thank you.
Tell Nick hello for Dick Williams.
Okay.
We